Good. Hi.
No,
you said we always said hi.
We do always say hi.
Okay.
That was me. That was me.
One more time.
Hi, friends.
Hi.
So we're here today to bring you a mini-ish
It's a tiny book haul
for the
tiny
end
one.
of 2018.
It's one of those intermediary kind of tiny hauls. You kind of close the year off just right, even if technically our bookish new year is still yet to come.
But yeah, it's gonna be a while though. 6 months.
6 months will be.
So we're at the halfway point.
We're at the halfway point, so we're happy to share some of the stuff that came in through the mail, some of the stuff that we spent our hard-earned money on, and some of the things that we had gracious friends enough and family who had gifted us with stuff. So
book haul time! Yay!
Hello.
There's so many exciting books in today's video. So Maki's gonna kick things off with the book that he got from one of our publisher friends. He's very excited about it.
We got book 2 of the Berserker series, Ransacker. For those of you who may remember, I read and reviewed a book called Berserker here on the channel. It's a story of Vikings meets cowboys. Yes, I did not make that up. The reason why I was totally into Berserker was because there was lore about how certain lines of, you know, kind of Viking descendant families and clans have certain abilities granted to them by the gods. One of them is, of course, the ability to be a berserker, which where your strength increases like crazy. Of course, you crash magnificently afterwards, but then you can like lift oxen and kill like 80 billion people. Berserker was about Han, who has the berserker kind of gene to it, to her, and she does some crazy stuff in Norway, and they all have to. And they all have to flee now to what we used to know as kind of like the frontiery America. So it's Vikings on the frontier, basically. It's this great kind of adventure, and the lore kind of really dug me in. So that's why Ransacker coming to our doorstep is just absolutely lovely. It's a companion novel. I think it happens a few years after the events of Berserker, and I absolutely cannot wait to see what happens next, because I think Ransacker is obviously like one of the other gifts in the family. So that's going to be really exciting to see.
Cool. I got a few things from publishers, most of which were not expected, most of which were a surprise. So the first thing that came in the mail is actually from Berkeley Romance. It is called Aisha at Last by Uzma. Oh, I'm gonna pronounce this wrong. Jalaluddin?
Anyway.
I don't know how to pronounce it. Maybe it is how I can pronounce it. If you guys know, tell me. This one comes out in June, so it's not going to be for a while. And basically the peg is that it is a modern day version of Pride and Prejudice, but with a Muslim spin to it. I don't even know anything else about it. Don't really care to, because that was enough for me to be like, of course I'm going to be reading this book. Plus, this cover is just fantastic.
It's gorgeous, yeah.
I got this book that I've also never heard about, but I'm very intrigued. It's called Smoke and Summons by Charlie Ann Holmberg, and the cover is also really cool. It's about a girl that's a summons for a very powerful master, and she wants to escape him, and the only way to do it is to team up with this boy who has the ability to be immortal for like a minute every day. This sounds very intriguing. I've never read anything by this author, but apparently he's the author of a book called The Paper Magician, which sounds oddly familiar. I'm pretty sure it has also a really cool cover, so
I may want permission to steal. Anyway.
You may have permission to steal. My friend Melissa, who now is with HMHT, and she sent me this really cool package that had, well, you'll see what it has in a second. Anyway, the package itself says, the strongest magic requires the greatest sacrifice. And on the back it says, it begins with 3 dead white ponies, then a maid, a mother, a crone, then upon a bed of red rosies, bled 3 fallen kings who leave 3 empty thrones. Dun dun dun.
That is interesting.
This book, woo, look at this. Ah, it has a pin in it. I love that. There's a pin in this package. And it is an arc of Bloodleaf by Crystal Smith. I also really think this cover is pretty striking. She's a princess to a throne, and she's not necessarily the heir that everybody wants, and she's capable of blood magic. That's pretty much all I know about it. I'm very much looking forward to reading it though, because it sounds right up my alley. So I cannot wait. Thank you so much, Melissa and HMH team, for sending this along to me. I'm really excited about it. This one comes out in March. I think it's March 5th. 2019. Right,
and for a couple of things that we had purchased, November and December were a pretty rough time for, you know, me personally. One of my friends actually had threw a poem my way to sort of help, you know, kind of help get the edge off, and it's called How Lovely the Ruins, and it came from this collection of collected book of poetry, and it's absolutely beautiful and gorgeous. And there's a foreword by Elizabeth Alexander. Several authors have, you know, provided their go-to poems, like something little bits like this. Barns burnt down, now I can see the moon, by Masahide. So I mean, just little things, right, to just sort of help you through a rough time. They're great. They're sage words that just sort of ease the poetic soul, and I highly recommend them, especially since there's lots of good blurbs back here from Maya Angelou and Ta-Nehisi Coates and, you know, Leonard Cohen, etc. So that's fun. And speaking of depressing things, in hunting for Christmas manga, you know, the manga that you give away at Christmas to loved ones. I stumbled across The God's Lie by Kaoru Ozaki. It's this gorgeous little kind of watercolory kind of deal, and it's about a couple of kids who spend one magical summer together, and no magic, but the thing was magic to both of them. They were exactly what they needed at the exact time. I blitzed through this the day that it came and have been devastated since. So maybe not read as many books like this, but it's really great and I recommend it to everybody and it's really fun.
Next year, my friends DJ, Rachel, Kristen, and I are sort of doing an informal book club where we just read a lot of the older paranormal books that either we haven't read or that we read and never finished the series of, or that we've read and just want to reread. And so I have the box set of the first 4 books of Julie Kagawa's Iron Fae series. The first book is The Iron King, the second book is The Iron Queen, third book is The Iron Daughter, and then the last one in this set is The Iron Knight. And I really don't know anything about the series except for the fact that it's about a human girl who goes into the land of the Fae, and that Rachel has read it and really enjoyed it. I'm pretty sure DJ has read the first at least and enjoyed it, and Kristen has not read it at all, just like me. So it's going to be fun for all of us to read it. It's actually going to be the first read that we are going to do for this little informal book club of ours, so that'll be fun.
That kind of inspires me to read my paranormal romance stuff that I haven't touched in a long time.
And then the next 2 things I actually bought because of Hannah over at So Obsessed With, because she bought the Anne of Green Gables edition of these books for her collection. So she was like, oh, you know, there's also a Little Princess and The Secret Garden, because she knows I'm a sucker. So I bought the Hallmark gift books editions of The Secret Garden and A Little Princess. I recently reread The Secret Garden. It was flippin' amazing. They're so nice. These editions are weighty. They have velvet covers in different colors, which is wonderful. They have the bookmarker in them. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's just so fantastic, and I'm so happy to have them on my shelves.
Also, a fun time to plug that apparently on, I want to say Apple Books?
On Apple Books, I don't know if it's still free, but I found out recently that Karen Gillan had been hired to narrate a version of The Secret Garden for Apple Books. And obviously the day I found out, I downloaded it immediately, and then I was like, of course I'm gonna listen to this. Hence why I said I reread The Secret Garden recently. It was flippin' amazing. Just saying. She's fantastic as a narrator.
Karen Gillan.
So good.
She's lovely.
And that story is still so good. The next book is one that I actually read recently, One Day in December by Josie Silver. If you liked the book One Day by David Nichols, if you enjoyed Love, Rosie by Cecilia Ahern, and if you like Love Actually, I think you might enjoy this book. I'm still somewhere like in the middle on how I feel about it. The entire premise is that Lori is on a bus on Christmas Eve, or around Christmas, and she spies this boy outside of the window of the bus, and they lock eyes, they share a moment, and then she spends this whole year after looking for him, only to later find out that her best friend has actually been dating the guy for like half of that year. With the friend not knowing, obviously. She doesn't know that it's that he was the busboy.
Does not sound
and obviously that's where all the complications and all the relationships come from. Because I'm also a sucker for pretty things, and because I wanted to reread it recently, I have this beautiful 150th anniversary illustrated edition of Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. It's beautiful. It has this really soft matte cover. The mint is very pretty. The end papers are gorgeous. The chapter headers are also amazing.
They're colored.
I know, they're just beautiful. I am very excited to reread this one because I have not reread it in like years. I also really like the quote they chose for the back of the book. It says, "I don't like to doze by the fire. I like adventures, and I'm going to find some." Let's all guess who said it.
Yeah, this is why Joe March and I couldn't be like anything more than just friends. Like, no. Like, Beth was probably the one I'll get along with the most. It's like, Beth. We're staying home. Alright, now for the things that we got gifts-wise, which tis the season after all, and I'm absolutely grateful. So I'm going to start with something that our friends, Pat and Ian, had given me. They were so spot on. I wonder what little birdie told them that this was exactly what I need, that I texted the birdie that I said I wanted. This is the Numenera starter set, which is basically another tabletop RPG, obviously getting sort of into the whole RPG sinkhole. What's cool about Numenera is that it's not exactly as complex, I would like to say, maybe as the mechanics of Dungeons & Dragons. I mean, there's only a couple of dice here that I can see at the back that you really need to play it for, so that's obviously evidence of much less complicated stuff. It's got a book, tells you what it's all about. Numenera is set in semi-futuristic, semi-medieval world where it's the 9th age and all the other ages have crumbled and dissolved, and whatever's left over has carried on. and it's about just unpacking the mysteries of the past as you move forward into the future. So it's very cool.
Okay.
I've yet to really sink my teeth into this thing, but a friend of mine at work actually recommended this. So Chris, you're probably never gonna watch this because I don't tell people that I'm on this channel, because it's hers, but she says it's ours, it's its own thing. But if Chris, if ever
we're gonna keep every year is gonna consist of us saying this at the end of the year.
but Chris, if ever you get to see this, hey buddy, I finally got Numenera, and some friends gave it to me, and I can't wait to start it. And finally, speaking of little birdies that, you know what I want, I finally got a copy of Out of the Abyss, which is one of the kind of main title Dungeons and Dragons books. It's its own campaign, it's about the demons, and Alexa got it for me for Christmas, which I am absolutely pleased. She was kind enough to get this in conjunction with a screen that was made specifically for this campaign. I find it's a luxury, but also fun, because apparently that's what adulthood is all about, and if you don't go out much, you can have more money for stuff. And the Dungeons and Dragons screens that exist or have been made for the main campaigns actually have extra maps and stuff that you can do. And so this one is about the Underdark and Lolth and demons and the Abyss. My favorite thing, since the homebrew that I'm doing with Andrew and Kristen right now does involve, you know, demons and devils and all that good stuff. So very, very fun. Cannot wait to sink my teeth into this thing. Very, very cool. So thank you, love.
You're very welcome.
It's been gorgeous.
Well, this one's not necessarily a gift, but Rachel got a new copy of this book, so she was like, oh, do you want one? Because I know you don't have them in physical form. And I was like, of course I want one. It's Lover Reborn by J.R. Ward. This is the, I want to say 11th? It's either 11th or 12th book in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series, which is one of the only adult urban fantasy romance series that I've actually read so many books from. The entirety of this series centers around this clan of vampires who call themselves the Black Dagger Brotherhood, and they live in a city called Caldwell, and it's basically the ups and downs of all of their shenanigans with their mortal enemies, as well as the people they end up falling in love with. And it's so great. This book is so good because it's about Tor, who is one of the original Black Dagger Brotherhood members, and he actually loses his wife very early on in the series. And in this book, he sort of finds a second chance at happiness, and I'm just getting emotional thinking about it, so let's not talk about it anymore.
You're reading about vampires, that's lovely.
This next one is actually a gift from my friend Pam, who lives in Australia, and it came to me in the form of a blind date with a book, which I have never gotten as a Christmas present before, so go Pam. It's a book called Song of the Skylark by Erica James, and I just really like this cover. First of all, let us take a moment to appreciate it. It's about a girl named Lizzie, and she basically has fallen in love with her boss, but then she ends up losing her job over it, and then she has to move back home with her parents. But then she meets like one of their neighbors, and the neighbor tells her a story about her life in the past, and I think it's dual timeline. It sounds very good, so I'm looking forward to it. And if I like this one, she has a bunch of other books out too, so
totally up your alley.
That is exciting. Next is a gift from my friend Jane, who has read and loved this book and appreciated it as much as I did. It's The Only Thing Worse Than Me Is You by Lily Anderson.
I just love that cover already.
It is basically Much Ado About Nothing, but in teen modern day form, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Fun.
I remember that I read this one on a plane going to the Philippines, and it was really fun. There's a lot of fandom references in it too, because the main characters go to a genius school, essentially, and they all have very different passions in life, and it's great. My friend Hannah, who I mentioned earlier, actually got me a book that she and I have been talking about for a while. It's I'd Rather Be Reading: The Delights and Dilemmas of the Reading Life by Anne Bogle, who is actually the creator of a blog called Modern Mrs. Darcy. And this is just a collection of essays about reading and about books, and I really enjoy Anne's blog a lot, so I was really looking forward to this book. I've been like hemming and hawing over it because I was like, I don't want to buy more things because, you know, Christmas I have to buy presents. And Hannah was just like silent this entire time when we were talking about it, only for me to find out that she had sent it to me as a gift. So I'm very excited. Next is from my friend DJ. First, because he loves me. He gave me a finished copy of Sadie by Courtney Summers. I've actually talked about this one before on the channel. It is one of the very few YA thrillers or mysteries that I have read that I've really enjoyed. I thought it was very compelling. There are two timelines followed in this story. One follows the main character Sadie, who is on this mission to kill the person who killed her or murdered her sister. And the other timeline follows this person who is doing a podcast all about Sadie and her sister and has been retracing her footsteps right after her. And it's very well done. It's very compelling. I could not put it down once I started reading it, and I would highly recommend checking it out if you have not yet. Next is a book that I actually just recently finished reading, and I'm so thrilled that I loved it. I was very excited about it, and it's The Gilded Wolves by Roshni Chokshi. This is the first in her new series, and it essentially follows a group of individuals who all live in Paris. and they each have a particular reason for getting involved in this little heist that they're going on. But essentially the main character Severin wants to restore himself to his rightful place as heir to one of the houses that protects the Babel fragment, which is a powerful artifact that essentially can either destroy or create things. It's like Indiana Jones in Paris, but with a little Six of Crows twist because of the heist. It's so good. It's so hard to explain it without spoiling things because there's a lot of nuance to this story. But Severin and his gang of merry people, bandits. They get involved with a lot of twists and turns and shenanigans, and the story was just so compelling. It was so fun to see that this world that Roshan had created, it was so lush and so vivid in my mind, and I finished this one and I was like, oh great, I have to wait an entire year for the freaking next book when I'm already dying to know what happens next. It's very, very good. It comes out in January. Would highly recommend checking it out. And the last book that DJ gave me is actually an arc, and I'm very excited. This is one of the arcs that I feel like a lot of people have been anticipating for 2019, and this book doesn't even come out until April. It's Wicked Saints by Emily Duncan. I didn't really even need to know what it was about, I'll be honest. First of all, I just love this cover, and second of all, DJ is pretty confident that I'm gonna love it, so that is, like, I trust his opinion on this, and a lot of people who have already read it have loved it. Essentially what I can remember about it is that it is inspired by Russian folklore, I'm pretty sure. Then it has an element of, obviously, gods in it. It's a darker YA fantasy, which I'm here for, so I can't wait to read it. I hope I love it as much as DJ thinks I will. And the last two books that I got are from Mackie. I was very excited because the first thing I saw when I opened the package was this book, and I was like, if I had the capability of actually doing the accent, I would say it in the accent. It's just that I don't, so Mac is gonna have to read it out loud for you.
Like my accent's better.
He got me the Scots edition of Harry Potter, which I had resigned myself to the fact that I had to wait until I actually went to Scotland to get it. Apparently not. And the last thing that Maggie got is something we actually saw in a store together and we're very intrigued by. It's called A Girl on the Shore by Inio Asano.
It's one of those things where she kind of, in a small town, falls in love with somebody for the first time, and they sort of come of age together and have no idea how that relationship started out so well and then spirals completely out of control.
Sounds like a typical Japanese contemporary summer anime.
I'm so excited for that one too.
I am too, actually. I have been on a manga kick these past few days, so
that's true.
It's gonna be fun to add this to my pile, so thank you for getting me my present.
You're welcome.
And there you have it, our tiny-ish.
By comparison, of course. I mean, this is pretty...
I mean, you guys have seen our book hauls, you know.
That they tend to stack. But this is cool, and it's been fun. It's been a great 2018, and therefore, hope 2019 is just as good from a bookish perspective.
For all of us.
I know. I mean, 2018 was, like I said, hard and pretty ratchet as far as years go. But from a reading...
That's my favorite word.
But it's my new favorite word. But as far as reading goes, I think it was pretty darn good.
I think it was too.
So there's that at least. So wishing you guys a Merry New Year. Sorry, no.
Happy New Year,
Coming to America? No. Well, in any case, have a great...
New Year. We are so grateful that you guys watch our videos and can leave comments. We love seeing them. And we hope you stick around because 2019 is going to be another year of us just talking about books. Again.
And geeking out and doing funny things and not intentionally being silly, but being silly. So that's its own thing.
It's in our blood.
Alrighty then.
Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.